Welcome back to Inspired Life Virtual Retreat, Soulful Purpose. I'm so thrilled to be joined here today with our guest, Ramon Ray. He is a best-selling author, a global keynote speaker, a serial entrepreneur who's formed 4 businesses and sold 2. And we're just so thankful you can join us today and how really connecting with your soulful purpose can transform and uplift your life, open avenues of abundance. And I would love to just open this space with just taking a couple breaths together, grounding in, opening the doorways to the heavens, all the good things.
Sure.
Hey. And I'd just like to take this moment to invite our listeners and participants to really set their own intention for our time together. And this way, you're able to really kind of extract these nuggets of wisdom that Ramon's going to drop and really apply them to your own life and take actionable steps. And so I also want to thank everyone for showing up to this time together so that, we know that when we step into our purpose, we really inspire people around us and we kind of give confidence through osmosis because people think if she can do it, maybe I can do it, right? And as we step into purpose, we actually are realigning the collective conscious of the planet because more people stepping into their purpose means that the planet is able to, really benefit from our intellect, And so with this, I would love, Ramon, for you to just share with us a bit about your work and just kind of where you're coming from.
Sure, absolutely. No, I appreciate it. And thank you, Maggie, for all the work you do. For those listening, thank you for following Maggie and being in her community and listening to me. So thank you, thank you, thank you. A little bit about me, Maggie. I'll be brief, and then I can dive into it more if it helps others to share where I'm coming from. But I had a stint of working at the United Nations for much of my career, or a good part of it, many years, until I got fired. And it wasn't so dramatic, but in a way, you get fired or they don't renew your contract to a place because of your entrepreneurship, kind of shakes you up. So that's one bullet point or one footnote in my world. And I had started a few companies while there. So I had a side hustle, which kind of got me in trouble, some side hustles, but that forced me to go full time. It's easy, Maggie and those listening, to say, I'm an entrepreneur when you have a side business and you have a full-time job. And those of you who are doing that, that's great. It's not bad at all. I'm just saying when you're getting a check every 2 weeks, it's a little easier, comfort zone, and you have your Maggie, you know what I mean?
Yeah. No, so, it's different than being like, I now have to spread my own wings and I got to make it work, or there literally is not food on the table, exactly. Right?
That's exactly right. And so that's a big difference. So left the UN, and that launched me into being full-time who I am today, Maggie. Keynote speaker, global entrepreneur. And I think the journey, the nutshell, some people say, Ramon, you skipped like a whole step. How did you get here? Some data points that I can remember. I know I spoke for free for SCORE. Some people may know the free government consulting service, which people are welcome to check out, score.org, I think it is, free counseling. So I spoke there for many years, New York City area. My son was 4 years old, Maggie. He's 25 now.
Wow.
And yes. So spoke there for free for a number of years. And 2 more things I recall. So I started a small blog called smallbiztechnology.com. Bought the domain in April 1999. Maggie, that was sold last year. So 20 years, I think, to the date. And so it's another kind of historical, content's my thing.
Yes.
May sound convoluted. So content world for a long time. Another data point in my world, because, after you do content, you get kind of known even 20 years ago. And Inc. magazine, Black Enterprise, around the similar-ish time as I remember, they're like, Ramon, would you like to write for us? And I'm like, $1 per word? That's stupid. That's cheap. Oh, could you write 2,000 words? Whoa. So that opened up a whole new world of writing and understanding
Yeah.
freelance writing. Then with ink, I spoke at some events. So that was my second world of speaking. And from there, Maggie, it kind of grew, realizing that, oh, they pay people to speak. They pay people to write in this world of thought leadership that I'm in and many of us are in today. So that's the summary kind of how I built my journey, and really an idea person. Some people have problems, Maggie, with starting off. That's just not my problem. I'm a launcher and I probably should slow down a bit. But if it helps people, some people listening may have a bit of a challenge. How do I start? I'm the kind of person, just do it. So that's a little bit about me.
Yeah. Okay. So I love this idea of just do it, because I do think, besides Nike being an amazing company, but I do think that we get stuck, and I see this with a lot of brilliant people, right? They're almost too brilliant for their own good, if that makes sense. Like, they get stuck in that analysis paralysis place. Yes. And they start thinking, like, kind of like you were, like, $1 per word, what's that, or they immediately minimize what they're doing instead of kind of following the passion and allowing that to snowball into something that is really substantial and profitable and big. And yeah, starting out, you need to have somewhat of a business mind. Yes. But it's not, you can start very small and test at that level, if that makes sense. So, like, I created a business plan and I needed to test my business plan. It was a business model. Right. And so I created a body care company to test out this business model. And I wanted to start very small because I wanted it to be like, you can start with whatever you have. So I literally started with $400. And with $400, I got my product into, 2 natural foods grocery stores. Right. And from there, within 6 months, I was able to get 25 accounts.
Wow.
So, and I did everything myself. I did my own web design. I did my own marketing. I did everything myself. Eventually, the first thing I hired out was marketing, because I was like, I don't want to learn Adobe Photoshop or whatever, right? That's not my dream. And so, but by starting everything myself, I was able to see what I should outsource first, right? And I knew immediately, this is not my jam, right? And this is. And so what I'm trying to say is, like, dive off the diving board. Yes. Do it small. Do it with whatever you have, wherever you're at. You don't need to think about, how am I going to make this a 6-figure, multi-million-dollar business when you're just starting. It's too much pressure to put on yourself, really. I mean, have big dreams. I am all for big dreams, but not at the expense of not starting, if that makes sense, right?
It makes perfect sense.
So I'm wondering, like, when you hear soulful purpose, or you hear making a life that's purpose-based, what does that kind of conjure up for you? What does that mean for you?
Sure. I'll tell you what it doesn't first, if I may.
Yeah.
I think what it doesn't, to me, and again, those who can do this, great. Well, maybe you have a ton of money. You really don't care about the business or the people. You're like, I got an extra $10 million lying around. Let me buy 10 Dunkin' Donuts franchises. That's great. You can do that. But you really don't care about donuts. You don't care about anything, or whatever the word may be, as it were, if you get what I'm saying. It's just an investment. It's just transactional. That's not soulful purpose.
Exactly.
I know for me, Maggie, I wake up excited every single day. I could sit here and talk to people, sit here and learn from amazing people like you, Maggie, sit here and serve my own audience at Smart Hustle. So my point being, I think that's what soulful purpose means. You have some people who are into clean water, let's say, recyclables, whatever it may be. They wake up every day, how can I be a better steward of the earth? Or you have people wake up, in your case, how can I help people feel healthier, feel better, or whatever the soulful thing may be. So I think that's what it's about. And I think that's the beauty, Maggie, of being a larger company. Doesn't mean you don't have a soul in some way. Yeah, Starbucks probably loves to serve amazing coffee, but they're a big company. Us small businesses, we look at Maggie and love her. she's our customer. How can I serve her? And I think that's part, but I'd like to know your opinion of being soulful purpose.
Yeah, I think that that is brilliant. And what I think of, like I'm thinking of the body care company that I started, was that it actually came from a problem that I had solved in my own life and something I wasn't seeing in the marketplace, and from actually wanting to help people. So just to break that down, just the next level. So I have dealt with hypersensitivity, anxiety, depression, these kinds of things, because I'm an empath living in this crazy world. And so I go into overwhelm quickly. So that's my whole psychological evaluation. And so I went into natural health. I have a master's in natural health. I went into that because it was really survival for me. Like I need to figure out how to live on this planet, basically, and be a functional human and enjoy it. And so what I found helped me the quickest was aromatherapy, because the olfactory nerve, actually, which is the nerve from our nose, goes the deepest into our brain and has the quickest hormonal change in our system. So I found aromatherapy helped, and I found vibrational frequencies like flower essences helped. And so what I did was I made different sprays for different emotional states that, and I didn't call them like happiness spray. The one is like inner child, right? So I created archetypes around these emotional states and basically put vibrational frequencies in them. So I created these flower essences and put them in the sprays so that you're actually, for people who are sensitive like me, you're actually clearing your energy space while you're getting that emotional release. So I kind of, divulged or whatever, but what I'm saying is I took a very specific need that I saw in the marketplace, which was for high grade therapeutic product that wasn't out there.
Right.
And so, and I created it. Right. And so we all have problems in our life that we've solved that other people have.
Yes. That
we can create a solution for. And so for me, that felt very purposeful, and it came from my soul, because it was like something that I struggled with so much. And for me, pharmaceuticals didn't work. Like it wasn't a match for me. And so I needed something that I could do. And now it's like, it's interesting because in that body care company, it's, it's handmade, small batched, right? But the people who love it are like addicted to it, right? And they do say that you get 70 or 80%, depends on who you talk to, but like 80% of your business will come from 20% of your customer base, right? So really, I think another thing for people really starting out and like, okay, I'm going to do it, right? The people who are like at the end of the diving board and they're like, I'm going to do it, is like create those intimate, like you're saying, those intimate relationships with your customer. I had another example of a woman who comes and cleans the house, and she bought some products for her mom for Mother's Day. Nice. And now her mom is addicted and has literally, since Mother's Day, which was in May, has bought like 25 sprays from me. Right?
We love addictions like that.
Right? And so I'm just saying, like, I think part of being an entrepreneur is like, yeah, Whole Foods is great. These big accounts in my industry are great, but really your customer base is the individual.
That's right.
And I kind of shared this in a previous thing, but also as entrepreneurs, you want to think about, you don't really want to go for big accounts really soon, because it actually sets your business up to be very vulnerable. Because if you scale up very quickly and you were to lose that one huge Whole Foods account, there goes all your business, just like that. So there is something, what I'm trying to say is there is something to be said for, yes, we want exponential growth. That's awesome. But get a bunch of small accounts. get a bunch of, create a base so that you have a strong business in the end. So what I'm trying to say is like, don't think you have to climb the tallest mountain the first time you go to be mountaineering, right?
Absolutely.
And so
I think it's powerful. That's powerful.
I'm curious, Raymond, like, how did you, you're working at the UN, you got a good gig, I'm thinking. I don't really know the details.
Yeah, made good money. It was good. Yeah, good.
Yeah, it was a good
Until
gig.
I wasn't.
Well, till you were and things. I think, like, between you and me, I think the universe found you out and was like, hey, you got to up your game. You have more gifts to share with people than just here in the UN, and so I know you kind of got pushed, excuse me, you kind of got pushed off the diving board a little bit, but you already had something that you were doing, right? So you were prepared in a way. You had done some groundwork. But what does that look like? Like, to not get too intimate, but like, you find out one day that this thing that you've been I don't want to say relying on, but like you've been confident,
relying on,
confident in, is no longer your destiny. And now you're having to step up. What does that look like? Like the mental talk, the strategy. Can you kind of walk us through what that looks like?
Yeah, no, it's a great question. I think that there's a talk that I've been giving recently post-COVID about think bigger, think differently. And I talk about that journey a bit and talk about fear. So I'm not an expert on fear and, mind and all those things. But I'll tell you is that I think that people, Maggie, have a few options when they are confronted with fear, which is really the unknown, unexpected. You can't quite see what's in front of you. Your body reacts. I'm not a scientist, but that's, I think, the obvious what happens. So I think that what I did with it, as it were, and what we all can do with it, I think, to get through it. And I'm nobody special, but we all have certain gifts, I think, that we do well. I think you can crawl up into a ball, close your eyes and cry and go away, go away, go away, go away, as a little child would do, understandably. We can do that. Or we can maybe just blindly thrash and just, I got to figure it out. I'm just try to do everything and scream and like a bull in a china shop, as it were. Or I think you can have that thoughtful approach. You can know that I'm afraid. Something's happening. This is yucky. Let me take a breath. Let me assess my situation like they would teach in the military or special forces. Let me make sure I'm okay. Reach out to my family. And now let me just go forward. I know those listening, Maggie, it's not that easy. But that is the only choice we have. You can stay back there and wish COVID didn't come, wish Ramon didn't get fired, wish anything you wish. We can't help that. We cannot change that. Can't do it. But what I can change is this. So that, I think, is where it is, Maggie, is that encouraging people. It's okay to be afraid. It's okay to be fearful, but you also have to get up, pull yourself up, move forward.
Yeah. And think about so a lot of times I know for entrepreneurs, especially creative kind of ADD type entrepreneurs, we want to do everything at once and then we get overwhelmed, right? And so one of my practices when I'm like, I can feel the overwhelm coming, I immediately think, what is the step that's going to move me forward the most? What is the one step I can take today that is going to advance me the most?
Sure.
Or that's going to get me started quicker, if that makes sense. So I'm in this process where I'm really looking at marketing, for example, and there's a couple different strategies that I'm thinking about. And I got kind of ahead of myself, and the marketing expert I'm talking to is like, okay, yeah, we could have that in like 3 months. And I'm thinking like, 3 months? 3 months, that feels like eons for me, right? And I'm like, okay. So I think of a different strategy. And I'm like, okay, let's start with this strategy that is a lot more, that I have everything for, that I can get out in 3 weeks, right? And then work on that longer term strategy. And so I'm using this as an example because it's like, think about where you are, like you're saying, assess. where are you? What resources do you have? And these resources can be financial. They can also be people that you know.
Right.
Maybe you know someone who is excellent in a certain area where you could do a trade with them. You could do something like that, right? Like really think about, because that's the other thing I find is like, as soon as you go into overwhelm, you lose resourcefulness.
It's true.
So think first about what are the resources I have? What can I do with what I have now? And so you were lucky, but you had set yourself up for it. But like you were in a positive position because you had something that you already were brewing.
Right.
So did it look like kind of turning the heat up on what you were already brewing? Yeah.
For my case, I think, and I'll address it two ways, Maggie. I would say in my case, yes, you're right. I had some things going already, started ahead. So just turned the heat up, scaled it. I just went faster. And if I may, Maggie, for those who may not be in that position, may I? Okay.
Yeah.
For those who are not in that position, you may be starting at ground zero. But Ramon, we didn't have clients already. But Ramon, we weren't where you were. And again, I'm not sure if I said, I've had a son when I was young. So I've had some things that came as a surprise. I suffered with depression. My fired from the UN. You know, Ramon's not always been Ramon today, as it were. We all go through issues and will go through. But to those of you who are just starting out, to those who maybe feel you're at ground zero, if a few things that may help. One, everybody should, and if you don't, I can stand it, but there should be somebody you can reach out to for help. And I don't mean, hey, Maggie, can you design a website for free? No, you need to pay for that. But a friend, somebody, if you don't have anybody, call me. 917-685-3920. I'll be, if you just need a shoulder to cry on, like you just somebody to help you in that level. One. Two, a business mentor, as it were. I'm not talking about a coach you pay for, which you should, but maybe you just need, listen, I need 30 minutes of your time, 15 minutes, point me in the right direction. That's two.
Yes.
Three,
yes.
There's so many resources. Maggie's doing this amazing summit and event that she's doing here. There's just YouTube and Google and books. My point being, for those who give it a bit of effort, I wouldn't say you have no excuse because we all are a certain place, which I respect. But you give a bit of effort, you should be able to find a solution to any need you have, noting that sometimes our biggest challenge, Maggie, as you probably know better, all what you do being soulful, is just the mind. Sometimes that's the biggest impediment. And you need to unlock that and you'll be okay.
Yeah, I love this. I think too, one of the things that I do before I take action is I think of it as like surveying the land. I look at like, okay, what are people doing? What's out there? What's going on? And then I drop in, and this is where connecting to your purpose is so vital, because then you need to drop in and you need to say, what excites me? What do I want to do? Not what worked for them, not how many millions and whatever they made and who knows, and they're living the life, but they have tons of debt, so who cares, or whatever their story is. But like, not taking on that, but saying, what sounds exciting to me? What lights me up? Because really, that's what you're going to have to follow through for. And that's what's going to end up bringing you the profit for the end game, right? Because like for me, I decided I'm going to try doing a summit, right? Which I call a virtual retreat because whatever. But this is now the third one I'll be doing because I love the platform. I love talking to people. I live in kind of a rural area, so I don't, there's not a ton of this going on where I live. So it's like, it fulfills me in more levels than just my bank account, if that makes sense.
Absolutely.
And when you're an entrepreneur, one of the things is you don't have a boss who says, good job. Right. Good job. So you have to have something that's like self-fulfilling so that you actually are motivated to do it. Because I think that's another thing in our minds that some people have issues with. It's thankfully not usually mine, but motivation. And so I think the best way to motivate yourself is, again, connecting with purpose so that when you hit those roadblocks, you can tap back into like, why am I even doing this? What is my intention? So maybe, Ramon, could you share with us, like, in Smart Hustle, like, what is the intention? What is the soulful purpose, just of that one, just so we could get a little taste of it?
Absolutely. And again, thank you for asking. And for those listening, hey, I'd love to know your soulful purpose too. At some point, hit me up on Twitter or something like that. But I think for me, Maggie, our purpose, which is our purpose, values, mission, is to inspire and educate small business owners to start and grow successful businesses. So for us, Maggie, and again, everybody has their own tribe, as Seth Godin talks about, their own community. There's a lot of people educating business owners, which is great. Great. For your case, it's about the soulful purpose. For me, I believe it's inspiration. There's so many people, Maggie, as you may know, and they could be in your community, who are hurting, who need to be inspired, a spark to start. All the education's there, but they don't have that attaboy, attagirl to be inspired. You can do it. You can go forth. So at Smart Hustle, our vision, our purpose, we wake up every single morning to tell stories of entrepreneurs, to tell stories of fellow business owners, to inspire Ramon, Maggie, and thousands of others every day. And even I have an email newsletter I send out Thursdays at 2 p.m. And it's not selling anything, as I tell people. It inspires people. That's it. It's to tell a story. It's just, I was doing this today, and some people have said, Ramon, you need to sell in it a bit more. And you know about marketing, Maggie. So, but yeah. I purposely said in that one, I just want to say hi. I just really want to, and it's resonating. So that's a bit why we do it. Smart Hustle is really about inspiring small business owners. That's it.
I love this. Because as you know, my business name is Inspired Life. And I feel the same way. I think that when you live from a place of inspiration, yes, it gives you a fuel source that you can't have without. It is a necessary component to be inspired by what you're doing. And so with this topic, Ramon, show us, take us back to Ramon working at the UN, life is great, versus Ramon totally living on purpose, being an entrepreneur, waking up every morning, constructing your own day. Can you, what was the difference between these two different lifestyles that you've had?
My wife reminds me, Maggie, that I would wake up in the morning getting a good check, well paid, my family, my young son at the time, young daughter, and good job. UN's prestigious, great place. The organization's not wrong at all. Great place. This is not political. I wasn't happy. Good pay. I'm not happy.
Yeah.
Dichotomy. So I can go much deeper into it, but I'll cut to the chase, and then you can tell me if you want me to recap it or go deeper. But today, Maggie, let's pretend the pay is not good. Let's pretend it's not. It could be, could not. Doesn't matter. Meaning it matters, but you can follow what I'm saying here. Yeah. Sorry, this is the pay, rather. This is the pay. Sorry. The pay is not good. Let's pretend the pay is not so good. But the happiness levels, off the chain. I wake up delirious every day, pre and post-COVID. So that, to me, Maggie, that's the summary of the difference. Now, I thank God the pay is good. We have cash flow. We have a good book of clients, and we serve people all the time, and my speaking and books and all these things. But that's the big difference, Maggie. And again, nothing with the UN. I want to underline that in case my peers are listening. But the difference is, Maggie, waking up, sitting on the side of the bed, put my tie on. I'm going to work.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's interesting because I'm actually in the process of editing a book. Part of the juiciness of this book is that ultimately they say that, and this statistic's 10 years old, so it's probably closer to 80,000, but in the book it's 68,000. But they say over that amount, there is no correlation between income and fulfillment and happiness in life. Exactly. There is no correlation.
Okay.
So once you have your basic needs met and you're able to do some level of, at 80,000
Yeah.
for a single person, you're able to, clothe yourself, eat, go out to dinner, do the things that, live a nice life, right? A decent life, right? A fulfilled
Yeah.
life in that level of material goods. But above that, there's no correlation. So it's like, and I saw this because I actually grew up in a very affluent neighborhood. And I saw that actually the wealthiest of the families were the most dysfunctional, were the most unhealthy, were the most coping. They were coping with life in a very compassionate way. And I saw that it wasn't, wealth was not the ultimate goal. I mean, I think that wealth is a beautiful resource
Sure.
to back up your creative inspiration.
Yes.
And I pray that everyone on the planet has enough abundance that they can fulfill their, inspired creative ideas that we all benefit from.
Yes.
But the wealth to have your private yacht and your helicopter, the wealth that we're told will make us feel wonderful, it's an illusion.
Yes.
Because it actually can create separation. It actually can be a dismal life. So I'm saying all of this because living from this place, and I know we both resonate with this, living from this place of inspired action, of an inspired life, is really what will bring you this level of fulfillment that you're searching for, that your soul is like, please, follow my spark, my creative spark of genius that we all have, and I know for some of us, it wasn't fostered and it wasn't, but we are now in a position, and this is a blessing. So my mom always jokes with me that I can find the silver lining in anything. So we have a running thing, and they're not huge, but we have a running thing, and hopefully, if this offends you, just close the ears, the ears. But we have a running thing of the benefits of COVID.
Yeah.
And so
I agree.
One of the collective benefits of COVID is we are reevaluating how we do life. And some of those are not benefits. I'm not saying that when I weigh it out, it's positive or negative, right? But in everything, there's places of growth. And so, I know you talked about COVID and people losing jobs or people in this transitional place. And it is a place to go deeper. Yes. Go deeper into what like Ramon, sorry. Okay. What would make you jump out of bed in the morning, ready to take on the world because you are so passionate about your purpose that there is no other option. There is no other option. Like, this is it. Yes. And you're going to go gangbusters for it because it's in your DNA. It's in your blood. It's in everything that you are. And Ramon knows that there is a level of fulfillment. Okay, so we talked about the morning, Ramon. But what about in the evening? What about in your wind down? What about in your, looking at your day? How is that different?
Yeah. No, for sure. I mean, for me, I love so much what I do, and it depends on the position you're at in life. Those listening to us who have maybe small children, babies, or pets, life will be differently structured. Your priorities, you got to take care of the baby or the pet, or you have a parent you're taking care of who's maybe disabled or whatever. That's a different stage of life. But for me personally, I have 2 adult kids. My wife has her things she does. We do spend time together, have a good marriage, I'm blessed. But meaning, really, Maggie, can I tell you a secret? Yeah. I can do what I'm doing all day. So doing this all day, but my downtime, a Netflix here or there, spending time with my daughter, my wife, hanging out with friends. That's pretty much it. Beyond that though, I don't go off for 30 days to the Amazon. I just, as I sit and as I know you get a sense, this is not a bad living as I'm looking around. Not a bad life. So I pretty much do this. I wake up at 6 a.m., have about half an hour of devotions, half an hour workout. eat my breakfast, some granola and berries, at the computer by 8-ish, 7:30, depends on what I'm doing that day, how much I sleep in. And the day begins at the computer, go upstairs, give my wife a kiss, come downstairs, check on my daughter. You know, you have family time and how's she doing? How can I support her in college and stuff? My son is in Europe right now. He got married a few months ago, by the way. And that's Ramon's life in a nutshell. For me, and those listening, that may not be your life. As I started out with, you may just had a baby. You may have a mom that's going through some things. You may have a dad that's abusive. You may have a dysfunctional family. That's your journey. That's your journey. But that
Yeah.
was a little peek into mine.
Yeah. Beautiful. And so, just kind of wrapping this up, what advice would you give to someone who's, at the end of the diving board, ready to jump in, and they just need, that bit of encouragement? What would that be from your perspective?
Yeah, I think a few things I would say, Maggie. And one, thank you, Maggie, so much for having me here. I just appreciate it. You're a great discussion person, a great person I want to get to know and learn from. But I would say, Maggie, one, talking about business now, you have to have some business sense. A little bit of marketing, leadership, and sales and things. You don't have to have everything, but you got to have a bit of business sense to succeed in business. You have to have a mindset for business, being able to be punched in the face, and get back up again. You just
Yeah.
have to have that in you. And the
Yeah.
last thing I would say, echoing what Maggie's whole community is here, have a little bit of inspiration and quite a bit of soulfulness. I think once you have that, because you need both, and you'll pretty much just be fine. You and Google can pretty much figure out anything.
I love this. I love this, Ramon. And thank you so much. Thank you so much for just opening up about your life, the journey you've been on. And there's so much that people can really glean from this and apply in their own life, whether it's mentally or more strategically. I would love to close with just, again, breathing it in. It really helps us to integrate all of this wonderful knowledge that you've shared with us. And if that works for you.
Sure. Yeah, sure.
Sure. Beautiful. And I like to end by saying, may all beings everywhere be happy and free. And may our thoughts, words, and actions contribute to the happiness and freedom of all beings everywhere. And thank you so much, Ramon. This has just been a delight.
It's a pleasure, Maggie. Thanks for having me. Have an awesome, delightful day.
Thank you. Take care.